Got it. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to the Status Network, the live TV channel, and this is the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton, and let's have a conversation as we bring you great people doing great things across the board in entertainment, business, community, and beyond. So we appreciate your patience. We had a couple little things to work out, and even though there's some things I don't know what's going on my end, but the show must go on, and we're still going to have a great show. Before we get into our guests for the evening, we've got a couple of station announcements as well as announcements from yours truly. First off, with the Status Network, we appreciate each and every one of you that's taking time out to enjoy not only this show, but our entire network family of shows. To best view, please make sure to visit statusnetwork.net, click on the menu for channels, click on the live TV channel, and if it's not popping up that way, then when you're on the live TV channel, go ahead and click on for author Andrew Snorton, and you're good to go. If you have room on your smartphones, make sure to download the free app Status Network. Make sure to click on the menu for channels, live TV, and it'll be up and running there. For the social media platforms for both Status Network and live TV, check us out live right now on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and other platforms. For those of you that have Roku and Amazon Fire Stick, you can make sure to check us out there. And on most days, you can catch it streaming from the Facebook page for author Andrew Snorton and the Instagram author A Snorton. But tonight, we're getting a different look, but we're still going to make sure that we bring you a top-notch and top-quality show. Now we've got a couple of station announcements as well as announcements about yours truly. So let's go ahead and get that first station announcement up and running. And wow, we have right here, shouts to Wake the City. This was the event that took place last Thursday through my alma mater, Wake Forest University. It was a great way to meet, greet, and connect, not only with alums across the board, as you can see right here, members of the Association of Wake Forest University Black Alumni, as well as future students. So shouts to the class of 2023. So tonight they're doing a great event called A Conversation, a great way to dialogue, to address contemporary issues. So shouts to the alma mater, Wake Forest University. We also have a couple other quick things before we get into our guests. Let's see what we have, and that's another snapshot. Yes, if you see me, I'm the one with the awesome-looking Wake Forest shirt and jacket right there in the middle. Yep, right there in the crosshairs, exactly. So it was definitely a conversation piece as well as meeting and greeting some great people. A couple other quick things as we go ahead and transition into our first guest. A couple other items. Looking out for, let's see what we've got coming up. Oh, yes. Now we're talking. Of course, as you know, I'm a published author, and when you're a published author, you got to do published author type things. So check me out July 6th. My time slot has been confirmed for 1:30 to 2:30 at Fiction Addiction in Greenville, South Carolina. This is the Love Your Indie Author Festival. And then, as you just saw, looking forward to being in Jackson, Mississippi, August 17th, third year in a row for the Mississippi Book Festival. And I think we've got one other pre-announcement for the network. Okay, we're actually jumping ahead a little bit. So one of our great people that I've been fortunate to do an interview with, Kalina McMath, did the release of her book on May 30th, Safe in the Game, the official handbook for exotic dancers. Yes, it is a business, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you what, if you get a chance to read the article, please make sure to do so. But now I think will be a great time to go ahead and pivot to our guest. We've got some great people here, and for our first guest, my goodness, what can be said about someone who has a career but then transitioned into doing some great things business-wise, and we are here with Ms. Saleemah Cartwright. How are you doing this fine evening?
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks a lot for your good humor, your good patience, and you had one of your adoring public, you know, before we got rolling, calling in and everything. So for our viewers, I think what will help is a point of reference regarding where you're from and what you were previously doing, and then what was that moment for you to pivot into looking at other opportunities for, let's say, your business and professional and related growth?
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm going to try to make this long story short. It's a really long story, but I'll make it as short as possible. So 21 years ago, well, prior to that, I was always having issues with my hair. I was always having issues, and it was always my fault. Dry hair problems, color, treated hair, relaxers, all types of problems. I've traction, alopecia, all type of stuff from braids and just damage. So I was always trying to, figure out what to do with my hair. I wanted to get my hair healthy, but I couldn't. It was always my fault. I was always doing something to damage my hair. So I ended up going to cosmetology school in the early 90s, and I just learned about better hair care practices and things like that. I started practicing as a cosmetologist. And then while I was doing my clients' hair, I was just noticing that they were still experiencing breakage. So I would just notice when I would balance the moisture and protein levels in the hair, I noticed that the hair would start to flourish. So that's when the seed was planted for our product line, Hydrotherma Naturals. I was doing hair, I was balancing the moisture and protein levels in the hair. When I was using too much protein, the hair would start breaking. When I was using too much moisture, the hair would start breaking. So when I started balancing things out, then the hair would start to flourish. So that's when the seed was really planted for Hydrotherma Naturals products. I worked as a cosmetologist for a while, and then I got out of it for a while. I worked as a hospice nurse for about 10 years, but I went back to my first love, which is hair. And that's when we actually started the Hydrotherma Naturals line, and this line is designed to balance the moisture and the protein levels in the hair. So that's why we created the line, and then from the line came the book.
Wow. So before we go any further, that's an interesting backstory. So you were already doing work within cosmetology, and for lack of a better term, you gave a little bit of a break in order to go into nursing, which it's still overlap because you're still looking at areas of health and wellness, things along those lines.
Exactly.
And people don't always think hair, health. Well, yeah, based on what you've described, yes, there are some real ties to it.
Yes.
And then when you came back, it's almost like you came back like in a stronger form, in a stronger version, like based on what you acquired previously, based on what you saw as a nurse. Now it's almost like you're bringing even better best practices with health and wellness, best practices in regards to some of the things you mentioned in regards to things that we don't always think about with hair, like you said, pH balance and moisture and all these other moving parts.
Right, exactly.
Go a little bit further before we pivot and talk a little bit more about the book. Go a little bit further in detail about the products, because people are like product line. What makes this different, or what makes this something that people really need to pay attention to?
Okay. Well, what makes the product line a lot different than other product lines on the market is that our goal and focus is to balance the moisture and protein levels in the hair, which will which will help you to retain length, help to encourage growth. So all of our products here are designed to do that. Like, we have our moisture-based products, which will infuse the hair with moisture, and then we have our protein-based products, which will infuse the hair with protein, which will give the hair a nice balance of moisture and protein. If you have too much protein, the hair will get hard and it'll start popping off. If it has too much moisture, it'll be too soft, and people can't over-moisturize their hair. So if you have a nice balance, then the hair will have great elasticity. You can have length retention. It's not going to be popping off just as fast as it's growing out. So that's the goal of our line. We've helped thousands and thousands of women get their hair back in shape. We've been doing this for 11 years, going on 12 years.
And I think that's great that you're able to detail that, because, again, it's one of those things where you don't think about some of these other moving parts. Like, I remember growing up, it was like put on some Ultra Sheen and good luck, and that was about it. And some people out there might be still doing that. Not to knock anybody, but you do. But think about, you do what you know. Yeah. And again, it comes back to what I said before, your experience previously as a cosmetologist, then going in a little bit deeper into health, and so now you're bringing all these different things, and you make some really good points. Let me ask you this, and I know you stressed some of the things for women. Are there things in regards to balance and things along those lines that men can also pay attention to?
Yes, absolutely. Like, our products can be used on men and women. A lot of the men, they're like, oh, can I use this for my hair? Or their wives will buy it, and then their wives will go back and try to get their moisturizer, and then it's all gone because their husband's been using it. So yes, definitely, men can use the products. It's the same. It's the same. And as long as you have working hair follicles, then our products will help you get your hair.
And I'm glad you're stressing that, because I know back in the day, you'd see mama and them and auntie and cousins twice removed and whatever, and you're sitting here like, that's just their stuff. But then, as you get older, like you're saying, there's so many other different moving parts with health, and sometimes we as men, we don't think about it. Like, we don't think about it.
Yeah.
But now it's good to say that, hey, look, men, we have to pay better attention to some of those same type of dynamics.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So now here you are with the previous experience, the experience in health, coming back around, being stronger. You've got a product lineup that is focusing on striving to have that balance, health, and growth. And I think that's a great launching point for transitioning to the next hat you're wearing as a published author.
Yes.
Walk through for our viewers, in addition to showcasing what people need to keep on their radar.
Yes.
Walk us through the progression of here you are, you've got a solid, business, you're doing great things, you're helping a lot of people, which is part of what you're trying to do in business. How did you transition from that to putting out and getting your book, which really, it's not, quote, the traditional book, it's really more of a resource and reference space?
It is. And it's so funny because I've been working on this book for about, on and off for like 10 years. Like, it's crazy. Like, I kind of just did it as like a hobby at first. I was like, oh, let me just jot down some tips, to help people just get their hair back in shape. So it was kind of like, started off as being like a pamphlet. And then while I was working as a nurse, I would be like just, if I had some free time, I would just be jotting down some tips and things like that. And then it just got bigger and bigger. And I'm like, hey, I can make, I can really help a lot of people if I just made like a reference book about this. And that's how it kind of got started. It's been like a long process, but I haven't been working on it like every day. But it was like something I work on, then I would put it aside for maybe a year or two. Then I'll okay, hey, let me go back to my book and I'll work on it. And I really got like the last year or so, that's when I really was like, I need to really get this done. So that's when I really put everything into it, and I was like, I need to do it. And that's when I really actually did it.
So in other words, it wasn't like you think about people who write, like I've had published authors in here before, and I happen to be one too, and everybody's writing process is different. So it's not always a traditional, let me lock myself in a room and have a beverage and listen to the birds chirping and all that. Everybody's process is different, and yours really, almost like your products, was really organic. It's like, oh, let me just write this down as a point of reference. Let me just notch this down. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, after doing, it's like, wait a minute, I've got something here.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing to stress, like with anybody who is writing or has written or what have you, everybody's process is different. You don't have to quote, I have to get it done in a certain amount of time. Get it done when you get it done.
Yeah.
And more important, what you're putting in there, you've got something to say. Like for people that might have had questions about, oh, I always wondered about this hairstyle or this product or this technique or whatever, what things do I need to pay attention to? This is, like you said, years in the making.
Yeah, it was very organic. It wasn't like I just was like, oh, let me just sit down and do this. It was just kind of like do a little bit here, a couple tips here, a couple tips there. And next thing you know, I had a book. So that's basically how it happened.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the cover again. 300, you've almost got like a tip a day.
Yeah, almost.
Like
yeah.
seriously. Or at least like there's 30 days in a month. So you got people taking care of 10 months. I think the only times you're probably off are like during like June and December.
You're right.
And that's about So,
Exactly.
but that's great. I mean, it's great because number one, just looking at that number, and it seems like anybody that's looking for some type of constructive answer or approach, you can basically find it there.
Yes, absolutely. Like when I wrote this book, I kind of took some some of my nursing skills and I made it's called APIE, right? A stands for assessment. So when you're a nurse, you assess things. So I did that. I put that in the book. Assess what's going on with your hair. Is your hair dry or is it color treated? What's going on? What's your problem with your hair? And then P is planning. What is your plan? This has a 300 things in here that help you get your plan going. What is going to be your plan for how you're going to get your hair back in shape? I stands for implement. Implement that plan. What are you going to do to implement that plan? And then E stands for evaluate. So after about 3 months, you evaluate. Say, hey, is this plan working for my hair? Is my hair healthier? Is it breaking less? And if not, then go back and say, hey, how can I switch things a little bit? And then go back and revise your plan. If it's working great, then just keep on moving, and then you'll notice your hair get healthier and healthier.
Wow, look at here. Who would have thought that you can use basically the scientific approach?
Yeah.
Or better yet, no, I mean, and I know we're kind of laughing about it, but no, it's where there's really genuine areas of overlap.
Yeah, it is.
And you're taking the best of what you've done through the lens of cosmetology, the best of what you've done through the lens of nursing, and then all this body of work. And now all of a sudden you've really got like a real best practices reference that doesn't come at you heavy-handed and doesn't come in way from the ivory tower and all that type of stuff. It's like, look, let's put it in real accessible terms, but it's grounded in best practices, because ultimately it's about helping people find solutions, find different ways of doing things, and that's really important for our viewers to understand.
Yes, yes.
So you've got 300 healthy hair tips. Are there 300 more that's in the incubator, or what's going on?
Well, I need to do a part 2 because I do have some more ideas that I didn't put in this book.
Wait a minute. So in other words, only your first shot at it, you just covered 10 months. Now you're going to cover like another 10.
Right, another 10.
Or better yet, you're just going to take care of the rest of the decade. Is that what you
Maybe so.
is that what you're finna to do?
You never know.
But that's awesome. But you know what? You make a good point, because as you learn more and discover more, it's like, hey, look, there are some new approaches.
Yeah.
So you continue to build on that body of work, and that's awesome. So here you are with a solid product line. You've got a solid reference and resource base. Where do you see yourself taking this? Like, you've already got some great things going on. What would you say, if you have an idea, what's next on the horizon?
What's next? Wow. Well, a lot of things. I do want to write another book about hair care. Definitely.
Okay.
I want to write another book about hair care because, a lot of things that I didn't put in this book that I really wanted to add to this book. And this book is it's more of a reference book. So it's like, instead of going online and searching for stuff, you can just say, hey, I got color treated hair. What should I do? I have locks. What should I do? I have, my hair is dry. What should I do? How can I moisturize it? So I do want to do another book, definitely. And we want to expand our product line to help more people. We want to just reach out and help as many people as we can get their hair back in shape.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, as always with any of our guests, like I said, all of the people I've been able to bring in here really are, number one, just quality people, and they're doing quality things. And whether it's breaking new ground or building on what's been done before, that's real awesome. So as we gradually get ready to have our first break, and of course you're going to be sticking around because we have that group recap. Remind our viewers, what are some of the best ways that people can engage and connect, so when they get to the commercial break, they're doing something constructive instead of looking, they can actually go ahead and, no, like seriously, you can start adding and all this type of thing. So what are some of the best ways for our viewers to connect with you?
Okay, you can connect with us at healthyhairjourney.com. Or you can go to hydrothermanaturals.com. It's the same website. But if you go there and you can use the code hairgrowth at checkout, you can get 20% off of our book. So make sure you go check it out. Also, you can find us on Instagram at Hydrotherma, Facebook Hydrotherma, Twitter Hydrotherma, and YouTube Healthy Hair Journey. So we're all on all different social media platforms, even Pinterest, Healthy Hydrotherma Naturals.
So in other words, you're basically on the main platforms people use each and every day. It's
Yes.
like, look, this is the next thing you want to do. Go ahead and type this.
Yeah, go follow us,
It'll
Hydrotherma.
it'll-
Hydrotherma.
It'll change your life. And it'll change your hair and change your appearance in a positive manner. Not like you're going to look like 10 different people, but you're going to look like we'll say an enhanced version of you. Well, Saleemah, thank you seriously for your patience, for your good humor, for taking and making the time tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when we come back, we've got another great person doing some great things in the world of art. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, author
Braxton was diagnosed with choroid plexus carcinoma, a brain tumor.
And we are back on the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton, here on the Status Network live TV channel. And I tell you what, we've been fortunate to have artists of different backgrounds and things along those lines, including, hey, it's working, yes. So we got it. So we have right here one of the hottest artists in the game based here out of the ATL. So could you please make sure to introduce yourself to our lovely viewers and everybody out there?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Zuleka Grant. I'm a 19-year-old artist. I've been painting for 2 years now. And I've just started doing some events. As you can see, that's scrolling by. This is my first year ever doing anything art related and getting out there and getting my work seen by people. So.
Wow. So because when we met like a few weeks ago, I figured you were like a vet, like you had been doing this for a while. Walk through with our viewers a little bit about your background in regards to where you're from, and when did you first start getting an interest in art?
Okay, so I'm from Atlanta, born and raised here. I guess I got an interest in art when I was, I want to say 5 years old. My mom is an artist, my dad is a musician, so I've been surrounded by art like my whole life. But my mom used to draw when I was younger, and so that was my, I guess, introduction into artwork. That's what really sparked my interest, drawing with my mom, and it was just something I really enjoyed doing.
So it sounds like you said, your parents tapped into their artistic tendencies through music, which is definitely a creative lens on so many on levels. And then you were just doing it because it was the byproduct of this is what you're surrounded by, this is what you got exposure to.
Right.
When did you pivot from the standpoint of this is something I've always been around, this is something I'm used to doing? It's like, wait a minute. I think I want to take this further. When was that moment when you decided, I want to take my passion for art just a little bit further?
I want to say the first time it happened, I was 11 years old. That's when I got serious into it, and I was practicing, and I actually had a goal. And I decided I wanted to be, I guess, like following my passion or whatever when I turned 18. It was just last year. I was about to graduate high school. I didn't really know what to do at that moment, and I was practicing my artwork or whatever. I started in 2017, and I guess 2018, that's when I realized, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. And I just kind of took a leap, honestly.
So it's kind of like when I think about our previous guest, the word I'm hearing is organic. It wasn't like, it's not like you weren't mapping out and strategizing, but it's one of those things where it just kind of evolved and came to you. And then it's like, you know what? Everything's coming together. Right. So like you said before, it was basically a little bit over a year ago when you, quote, were really starting to hit your stride a little bit more. Yes. And no, I mean, but that's great because everyone gets their moment at different points in time. Right. So here you are again, early exposure. It evolves from something you do to something you love to something you're passionate about to something that, to a degree, it's really a key part of who you are. Yes. Walk through with our viewers, and every artist has their different motivation or creative moment or what have you. What are things that really, I'll say, pique your interest to where, yes, this is the direction I'm going to go in with this particular piece or this particular event or whatnot?
Okay, so usually when I get inspired or whatever, it's, like you said, something that just kind of comes to me, whether that's a painting or an event. For paintings especially, it just, I don't know, I just like get ideas out of nowhere, literally. I just get a random idea, or maybe somebody might reach out to me for an event, And I was already hoping to kind of be in an event similar to what the person is contacting me about. So it always comes to me, honestly. It's crazy.
In other words, it really sounds like I said before, organic is definitely the word for you. And I say that because like people, everyone to different degrees has some type of creative gift or talent or tendency. Right. And folks that I've been fortunate to be around in art or in music, it's one of those things where you just do.
Right.
And it's not like, well, what I did is, no, it's like it evolves and it comes and you just go with it.
Right.
And that's really amazing. And I know, quote, older people are like, that's what happens. But seriously, for somebody of where you are right now who, quote, gets it through that artistic lens, that's huge because everybody doesn't. So that's real huge. So I know you've done some events previously. Are there other events that are on the horizon in the, let's say, that you're aware of that you know I'm going to be here or I'm doing this exhibit or I'm doing this benefit or what have you?
Yes. June the 27th, I'll be doing another art show with raw artists. It's this really big thing where they get, makeup artists, painters, and dancers, singers, everybody, and they make this like huge event, and everybody just kind of showcases their talent. It's really awesome. So I'll be doing that June the 27th. I believe it's on a Thursday. I hope that's the right day.
You know what? You're right. The 27th is on a Thursday. Cool. It is. Yes, see, look at that. With that, you just see, you can tell you're an artist. Like, yeah, it's on. You just said it so calm. It's like, yeah, it's on a Thursday, and then you said it with a little bit of modesty. I think it's on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And that's so subtle. I think you might want to be there type deal. Yeah, not try to tell you what definitely to do, but to encourage you. This is what to do. So it's great. You've got that exhibit. Have you looked at other? And I know there's so many different festivals and things along those lines. One of the things that comes to mind is Art Basel in Miami. Have you done any research on that?
Yes, I have. I follow a few artists on my social media or whatever who have been a part of that. That's definitely a goal I have. I'd love to be a part of that, hopefully in the future. Maybe next year. Who knows? I'd love to.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. And again, remind our viewers again, everybody's, quote, direction and motivation, it varies. Again, really emphasize that, like you said, you were immersed in something early, and it's something that's always been around. Mm-hmm. And then it gradually just moved up to where this is what is really taking hold. But walk through with our viewers again.
Okay, so like I said before, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it's just something that kind of came and took me, if that makes sense. Like I said, I wasn't really sure what I really was passionate about other than my artwork or whatever. Of course, I was thinking about college and other things like that, but I really wanted to preserve my passion. I didn't really want to lose that, because I know when you follow other things, for the money and things like that, you can kind of lose sight of your passions and what you really love. So I didn't want to lose sight of that or whatever. So I just kind of, emerged into what I loved, and opportunities came, and here I am. Yeah.
No, and I think that's great. And I think, again, everybody's story is different, mm-hmm. and everybody's path, is their own path. So it's not like, well, if I'm going to be an artist, I can only do things this way.
Right.
Or if I'm going to be like previously, like our first guest, it was evolving. Like, you don't always have to, quote, go by the book. It's okay to be creative. It's okay to figure out what fits best for you. Now, one of the things we're going to do, and this is definitely a little bit different, is I think people need to be really in the arts mode. So is there a way that you could like slide over, and you actually brought one of your masterpieces, and we're having like the real arts expo right here. Now, wait, do you want me to hold on to it, or?
If you want to.
Oh, well, all right. Pray for me, y'all. Seriously, pray for me as I do something here. So describe to our viewers the inspiration and motivation behind this masterpiece right here.
All right, so the inspiration and motivation. As you can see, it's Andre 3000, one of the Atlanta legends. He's one of my favorite rappers, honestly. I love 90s music and 90s rap and all that stuff. So that's usually what I listen to when I'm painting. Um, I just want to say one day he just popped in my head, literally. Like, he just popped in my head, and I was like, oh, Andre. Okay, so I was looking for some pictures, and usually when I'm looking for pictures of celebrities and stuff, I'll just keep scrolling until I find something that kind of speaks to me. And this photo spoke to me. I know it's from one of his album covers, but I don't know. I really, really liked it. I tried to kind of make it my own, as you can see with the colors and the pink gun. It has a little bit of glitter on it, and his glasses and stuff. So yeah, I guess that was the inspiration and the motivation for this piece.
Wow. Now, for a piece like, I mean, so it just kind of, once again, I think it's, again, the whole organic process and evolution, and then whatever hits you, it's like, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Are there other, now, I know, and this is actually reminds me of, I'm trying to think, which album was it? I think it was their last album that they did, the double album.
I believe so. I know it was The Love Below, I believe.
Yeah, the Love, was it the Love Below?
I think so.
Crack Research Team, was it the Love Below? Somebody, anybody, someone just text me or whatever. It was Love Below? Okay, awesome. It's from the Love Below. So this is awesome. So I know this is
Thank
one of
you.
the artists, performing artists. Again, the whole arts and music symmetry. What are
Right.
I'm going to set this back down.
Okay.
I'm not trying to press here. I'm going to let an artist, let the expert do their job, because I'm not. Are there other, when you think about the whole symmetry with art and music, and you talked about the inspiration with Andre 3000, are there other musicians who have, for lack of a term, captured your eye and it's like, hey, this is what I'm going to do?
Yes, there's a lot. So like I said, I love 90s music. And especially people from, my city or whatever, it's really inspiring to me to see young people following their dreams. And like you said, everybody has their own way, their own path. So I guess Andre and his group Outkast. Another group is Goody Mob. They inspired me too. A lot of their music is young black men, and also being from Atlanta, just
Right.
chasing their dreams. So Lauryn Hill, she's another woman who inspires me, and those are just, I will say those are my top three. Those are my top three right now. That's on my mind.
Right. Because as a artist and creative, your mind is always active and
Yes,
always at
all
work.
the time.
I'll tell you what, when I saw some of your work, some of the images that captured my eye were your renditions of, other iconic artists, Jimi Hendrix,
Yes, I love Jimi Hendrix.
Prince, Michael Jackson, and then even contemporary, the artist Her.
Yes.
And things along those lines. So you're really like an artist from the standpoint of just your creative process, your motivations, your inspirations, and then because of your connectivity with art and music, and really tapping into, like you said, contemporary icons, Atlanta icons. I saw the Hendrix one. I'm like, goodness, that was like ridiculous. Birthday present. I'm gonna do a GoFundMe birthday present. You laugh, but you see that Hendrix photos. I mean, print sitting in the room. But no, you've got some great. No, thank you. I mean, it's great to always be able to have these types of conversations and understand that there is a space and place for creativity, for being a little bit unconventional, and things along those lines, and the fact that you're doing it now, and the things that you're already doing that's already impressive. But then as you continue to even immerse yourself further, as if it's possible, just think about the other things that are on the horizon, and there's some really great things that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm just telling the truth. Last time I checked, was there any lightning striking, thunder coming? So I think we must be all right. So as we get ready to gradually wind down your segment, again, remind our viewers of the next exhibit, I know you mentioned June 27th. Remind our viewers of as much information as possible on that one.
Okay.
And then share with our viewers the best ways that they can connect and engage with you, because like I said, you've got some great stuff out there and
so
people
much.
need to see it. People
Thank
need to
you.
be aware of it. So walk us through those two things.
Okay, so like I said before, I will be doing a art show with raw artists June 27th on Thursday at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. I believe. Like I said, it's just gonna be lots of arts, musicians, dancers, makeup artists, hairstylists, painters, and everybody. And it'll be taking place at the Masquerade down in Atlanta. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Zuleka Art. That's Zuleka Art. You can find me on Facebook at Zuleka Art, and you can also check out my online shop, zulekaart.bigcartel.com. So that's how you can keep up with me and find out about new and upcoming events.
Well, for many of our viewers, this is the first time they've heard of you. But
Yeah.
having said all that, this certainly won't be the last, with different events you've got coming up, different things that you're seeing, in your future, the already creative things you're doing, and there's no telling what lies ahead.
Right.
So definitely, like with all of our guests, we always wish everybody the best of what they're doing, and you're already doing great things, and and you've heard this, we expect greatness out of you, but no, seriously, we do expect, no, just based on how you've described and walked through and everything, if people don't have the takeaway that you're great at what you do, that's on them. Seriously, that's on them. So what we're going to do is this, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take our next commercial break. When we come back, we're going to bring both of our guests back on for our group recap. Again, this is Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton.
Many men.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with our group recap for the Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton. Real quick, we've got a couple public service announcements we're going to go through before we wrap up with our awesome guests. They sure are awesome. So let's go ahead and get the first of those together. As you saw a little bit earlier, the next two major festivals that I'll be doing will be the Love Your Indie Author taking place in Greenville, South Carolina on July 6th, as well as the Mississippi Book Festival on August 17th. So looking out for it and looking out for other info. Our next public service announcement is going to be, you saw that a little bit earlier, Kalina McMath. Her book was released on May 30th, Safe in the Game, the official handbook for exotic dancers. Check out the actual article that was done on acenortonccs.com/blog. Like I said, we have a load of creative characters doing some creative things. Our next public service announcement is, oh yes, one of the authors, I know this is Authors Row today, FIA host Ty Recitai. That's right, the brand and road manager for Doug E. Fresh, has released her second book, Follow Your Fire. This is an add-on from her first book, Follow the Fire, which actually made the Wake Forest University summer reading list. So definitely make sure to check it out. It's a great gift, not only for Father's Day, but any day, and they have men's and women's version. So again, it's making sure that ordinary people are able to do extraordinary things. Our next public service announcement, as we've got a few more to go, Sam Crenshaw, noted sports journalist based here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you or someone you know is interested in sports journalism, so if you're a rising senior or early college level student, make sure to check out PeachStateCollegeSports.com. He is one of the great guys who really does some awesome things in and outside sports journalism. This is a great way for people who have an interest in that, as well as the overall journalistic process. Our next public service announcements, we got a few more to go. Oh my goodness, if you or someone you know is an aspiring artist, and that ranges from music, poetry, spoken word, and you need a good recording studio, go to Third Level Entertainment. They are running a current special, $40 an hour for either a 2 or 4 hour booking session. Ladies and gentlemen, to be able to have access to top-notch professional quality, and they run it like a real business. Not to say other people don't, but they run it a great business model. So make sure to check out Third Level. Our next public service announcement. Oh, another festival coming up, this time up in Gwinnett County, Georgia. That's right, Lawrenceville, Georgia. Celebrating Juneteenth. We know there's different Juneteenth celebrations going on throughout Metro Atlanta. This one is being hosted by the United Ebony Society of Gwinnett County, taking place on Saturday the 22nd at the Rhodes Jordan Park. There are limited spaces available for vendors and other stuff, and I'm looking forward to be part of that wonderful event. So make sure to check out the work going up in Gwinnett County. Next, for our public service announcements. Oh, this coming Sunday, Father's Day. Check out the great work taking place at Family Food Fest Atlanta. If you or someone you know is looking for sufficient bite-sized samples of food from all over, from just people who love to cook, from some top-notch caterers, vendors, etc., this is the place you want to be this Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Georgia Railroad Freight Depot. $25 for adults, $15 for kids, but you can sample as much as you want. Now, it doesn't mean you show up there hungry, but you can show up there if you have a slight grumble and go ahead and get something in your system. And the proceeds go to some great charities that the organization supports regarding food access and things along those lines. So make sure to check them out. Our next public service announcement, we just got a couple more to go. Oh my goodness, it's getting hot in here. It was real hot in here May 8th when I had the East Point College Park chapter Delta Sigma Theta in the building. So if you didn't check out that show, shame on you. And if you're not there on June 15th, I can't help you, because look here. If you look at their lineup, 2 top-notch DJs, DJ E-Class, DJ Father Scott, a great host, Jason J. Boy Carey, live music, Remote the Band, and a great venue, the fabulous Fox Theater, the Egyptian Ballroom, so you know they're not playing. So ladies and gentlemen, come out in your summertime fine, summertime chic, as the proceeds are going to support some great programs that they do for the East Point College Park and interrelated community. And let's see, are there any more public service announcements that we've got to knock out? Oh yes, the instrumental leading up to this commercial break is done by none other than I Am Jim Shue. That's right, that was his instrumental for the song Preach. Chicago raised, Atlanta living. Make sure to check him out on all the music platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, you name it, as he is someone you need to keep your eyes on. And let's see if there's any other public service announcements And we are done with our PSAs. So now during this time that we have together, we've got two great people doing two great things. Artists in their own right. One is doing the artistry in regards to hair care, best practices, and a published author. And the other one is just, what is the term? Just bringing the heat, bringing the smoke, whatever you want to call it, bringing it when it comes to the creative arts. Ladies, a couple quick questions. Question number one, again, remind people about how you pivoted into what you're doing. So now let's start with you. Remind folks again that pivot for you to, like, I need to take this to the next level.
Well, it's kind of like a slow process, but it was just kind of like I just knew that I had to do it. Like, it was just something in my heart that was like, you have to do this. You have to really follow your dream and do what you really want to do. So that's what kind of led me out of the nursing and back into the hair care industry, because I knew I wanted to help a lot of people get their hair back in shape. So it was just kind of like an inner urging that it was like, I have to do this. So that's kind of how it happened for me.
And what about your pivotal moment? I know it was still organic, but still describe that process in regards to, this is something I do, this is something I'm immersed into, this is what I'm taking to the next level.
Well, similar to what she said, I feel like whenever you have that passion inside of you, just burning, you should just follow it. Like I said, it just kind of came to me that this is what I should be doing, and I just took that leap. And yeah, I guess that's how I can describe it.
And in building on that leap, and this is something a number of our guests have mentioned, that I'll say that proverbial leap of faith. What do you do as an up-and-coming artist? What do you do in order to keep going? Because we know at times the process has its own little ebb and flow, but what do you do to keep going and maintain your focus?
Well, I just always go back to my why. Why am I doing this? My why is, I feel like this is what I need to do. This is one of my purposes for being here, is to, get through to people through my artwork. And so whenever I'm feeling discouraged or anything, I'll go back to my why, and I just think about how blessed I've been to be able to, take that jump at such a young age and, have some success and opportunities going. So, yeah.
Awesome. And what about you? What's that thing that keeps you going?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing what she was saying. It's kind of when you dealing with like entrepreneurs, we all kind of have that common thread. Like you know your why, like why you're doing it. And a lot of times, as an entrepreneur, we all get discouraged and we're like, oh gosh, am I gonna keep doing this? I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And then I'll get an email from somebody that says, hey, your products have really helped me get my hair back in shape. I was crying and now my hair is flourishing and I'm feeling better about myself. So that kind of keeps me going. I'm like, okay, I need to keep doing this. So the same thing what she was saying, that's the why, like to help people, and that's it. That's what keeps me going.
Well, both of you in your own way are really providing a service, and you're speaking with people, and I think that's something that a lot of times when we're talking, we have to remember we're still speaking with instead of speaking at. So you're speaking with through the lens of what you're doing hair care wise, what you're doing now with this resource space. You're speaking with through your artwork and even the larger pursuit of your passion, and you're both great at what you do. So to varying degrees, you're in your own way, shape, or form, you're subconsciously telling people continue to embrace your greatness. And that's huge because people need to be reminded of that and need to hear that. So as we get close to winding down, to recap, could you please let our viewers know again the best ways for people to stay connected and stay engaged with you?
Okay. You can find us at Healthy Hair Journey. That's healthyhairjourney.com, or Hydrotherma Naturals, HYDRATHERMA Naturals. And you can also find us at on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Hydrotherma, HYDRATHERMA. Also Pinterest and YouTube.
And again, recap for our viewers the best ways for them to stay connected and engaged with you and the work that you're doing.
Okay, cool. So you can find me on Instagram at Zuleka Art, That's Zuleka Art. You can find me on Facebook at Zuleka Art. You can also, pick up some items from my online shop. It's zulekaart.bigcartel.com.
Awesome. Well, ladies, as with all of our guests, thank you for taking and making the time to be here. Thanks for sharing your stories of impact across multiple fields and multiple areas. Continued well wishes with all you're working on. As a reminder for our viewers, again, don't let this be the only time you engage and interact, not only with our guests for tonight, but any of our show guests. And as we get ready to wind this down and pivot to what's next on the agenda, a couple of real quick reminders. Our next airing will be on June 26th at 7 p.m. I'm going to make sure I have a long conversation with my phone and my technology to make sure that we don't have the type of, anticipation making me wait type deal we had earlier. So I appreciate everybody for sticking around and being full of good humor and good cheer. Again, reminders to stay engaged with me on Facebook, author Andrew Snorton, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, author A. Snorton, and shoot me an email at authorasnorton@gmail.com. So again, we thank our guests, we thank our viewers, we thank everybody not only supporting this show, but supporting the entire Status Network family of shows. So until next time, as we get ready to ride out, tune in next on June 26th for the next at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, next edition of The Conversation Corner with your host, author Andrew Snorton. All of you take good care. We'll look forward to seeing you real soon.